Hello, I am Dr. Samjaila TH, Assistant Professor, Department of English from Kristu Jayanti College, Bangalore. Today, I'm going to give a brief overview of the play The Cherry Orchard by Anton Chekhov. So when we look at Chekhov's writings, apart from his poetry and also short stories, he is well known for his contribution to the plays in the beginning of the 21st century, 20th century. So to begin with, we will start with the setting of the play. The play The Cherry Orchard, it was written after 40 years of emancipation in Russia in 1903. And regarding the unities of time, place and action of the play, it is in May 1903, and the play it goes on till October 1903. So the plays, it took place in Lubov Renevsky's estate, the Cherry Orchard. And to look at the background reality of the play deals with the restructuring of land ownership post-emancipation in Russia, and what happened during the 19th century and also in the beginning of the 20th century in Russia. And number one is the growth of population and also the influence of industrialization in the society. And as a result, there is a social political changes grappling with economic conditions in Russia. And what happened, many workers, they were religiously influenced and were divided based on class, based on working conditions. And in terms of politics, they were just communist-based party, and other parties were not allowed to exist. And we also see in the play the laws of equality and also the laws of socialism in the play The Cherry Orchard, how the transition took place and how this shift of class stratification exists in the Russian society. So to begin with, let's quickly go to the characters. So the main character here is Lubov Renevsky, a landowner who belonged to the high class, who belonged to the aristocrats in Russia during the 19th century, and her daughter Anya, who is a 17-year-old. We also have Renevsky's brother Jeff and Lopakin, a merchant who is the son of the serf during that time. And we have Trofimov, a student and also a tutor of Grisha, who is again referred as a very open-minded and modern character in Russia during that time, and who is very rational, who tries to bring in light note among the characters in the play. And we have another important character, that is Fierce, an old footman aged 57, who plays a very significant role from the beginning till the end of the play in The Cherry Orchard. So let's quickly go through the quick overview of what the play is about. So this is a tragic comedy that explores the themes of social change and generational conflict. And here, when we look at generational conflict, so here from the characters we get to know the footman, who is an 87 years old, and we also get to see the middle-aged man, and we have Renevsky's and her brother Lopakin, who is in middle age, and the student, and also Anya, who is just a 17-year-old girl who tries to understand the social changes that occurs during that time in Russia. And the next one is modernization. So in Act 3 of the play, we get to see this scene of modernization and what happened, what are the problems faced by the characters with the time as the modernization also influenced the Russians in the beginning of 20th century. And we have this class struggle. So throughout the play, through the characters of Lopakin, Renevsky's, you will see the serfs and the working class people rising, whereas the aristocrats and the other characters who belong to the aristocrats, you will see the decline, the fall of the aristocrats family, so through the character of Renevsky. And also this play can be considered as a memory play. Why? Because most of the characters in the play, not only just the major characters, the Renevskys, but even the minor characters, the secondary characters in the play, you will see how we get to look at history through the lens of characters, both on stage and off stage characters. So it is often interpreted as a commentary on the decline of the Russian aristocracy and also the rise of the middle class. So now let's start with Act 1. What happened in Act 1? So the tone, the setting of the tone of the play in Act 1, it is both balanced and ironic. So as I have mentioned in the beginning, the starting time of the play is May month, where the cherry trees, where the cherry blooms, springtime. It's beautiful, yet it is frosty and cold outside. So here in the lines where it says that despite it's a summertime, cherry bloom, beautiful, it is cold outside. So it has a double meaning why it is cold outside. You see the Renevsky's homecoming from Paris after spending 5-6 years, and then when she returns to the cherry orchard, what are the conditions? So you will see here the conflict between the warmth of life and the cold of winter. And similarly, we have the characters here both presented sympathetically, one of whom is trying to escape the past, and the other one is who is trying to find refuge in it. And Anton Chekhov sets up a tragedy through the setting of time, where time is flowing towards an end point, a catastrophe for the Renevskys. And here the catastrophe in the play is the sale of the estate, that is the cherry orchard. And Chekhov himself, he is mocking the play's sense of impending tragedy. And the opening of the play serves several purposes. So first, the focus of the play is on memory and the past, through Renevsky's trying to recall back about her childhood memories, and also the play's the nursery room. There are no children in the play, but then the nursery room in Act 1 is emphasized in order to re-emphasize about the nostalgic experience and also about the childhood experience of Renevsky and her brother Jeff. And on the other hand, we have Lopakin. Lopakin, the son of the serf, the slave, who is in mid-40s, and where he is presented as a merchant here, who is very money-minded, materialistic as a character. And we have Renevsky and Lopakin here, the opposite character, where through these characters, the story, the characters defined the way they relate to their past, specifically about their childhood memories. So here in Act 1, again, actually when Renevsky returned from Paris, there should be joy, happiness, but then Act 1's arrival is counterbalanced by the tears we see in the departure of Act 4. And also the opening of the estate windows here becomes the locking of its door. So here the cherry orchard, it's a symbol and also a metaphor in the play. And how beautifully Chekhov uses the device of an empty stage in order to foreshadow that emphasis about the plot of the play. And the character Fierce here in the beginning of Act 1, so Fierce is the first character to return to the stage after it is emptied, which directly again are foreshadowed of the forthcoming significance about the play. So now we'll go to the analysis of Act 2. In this act, we see the play emphasizing on the complexity of the conflict between Lopakin and Renevsky. So how these different characters, they move towards memory and also forgetting, and what do they represent about the past and about the present and future. So here, modernization is one of the background setting of the play, and in this Act 2 we see Lopakin trying to influence Renevsky to sell off her cherry orchard so that she can lease the land and build a villa residence in the cherry orchard. And we also see the tone of the play here switches between comic and tragic as we laugh at Lopakin's insecurities, and also we feel compassion for Renevsky and her struggles in Act 2. And we see again here one of the important point that we see in Act 2 is Lopakin's attempt to sever his tie with his peasant past. So he talks about how he was tortured by his father when he was very young, his father who is a serf and who worked in the cherry orchard, and his past generation, his grandparents. So through this Lopakin, we also go back to the past and what kind of life he actually lived. And Varia, who is an adopted daughter of Renevsky, she is a woman without money and still in a position of powerlessness in society. She also suffers a sort of serfdom to Lopakin. And in Act 2, Chekhov, he represents the central irony of the situation through Lopakin, the grandson of the oppressed, and now who has become an oppressor to Renevsky. We'll go to Act 3. So in Act 3, the main argument between Trofimov and Renevsky centers around in Act 3. So the main argument is here, Trofimov, he is as a student and a very rational human who opens up and then tries to convince Anya. And whereas Renevsky here, she is considered as a person, narrow-minded person who sticks to her past, and she is also intuitive yet beautiful. But the truth is deceptive concept than it is to Trofimov. So here again, one important point we need to understand in this act is that knowledge is here equated with vision. And through Trofimov's character, we get to see about the importance of having a greater vision, greater knowledge, the importance of knowledge in the modern times. And whereas on the other hand, through Renevsky, we get to see the theme of class struggle and also the auctioning, the very act of auctioning of the cherry orchard, because she has to pay her debt, the huge debt that she had spent in Paris. So in order to pay back her debt, she has to sell her cherry orchard. And here we see the downfall of the Renevskys. And in Act 4, the final act, here in a play thematically centered around the act of forgetting. And the final act seems to forget the development of the three acts that preceded in. And Jeff is still concerned about his sister, Yasha, still wants to live, and Trofimov is still idealistic and naive in Act 4. And one of the major events that happened in Act 4 is the catastrophic event, which we came across in Act 3. So here, the falling action of the play, we expect to see the consequences of this climax in Act 4, where Lopakin, he owns the orchard and is now cutting down the cherry trees. So which is a very emotional and heartbreaking for the Renevskys, seeing the cherry trees, the cherry orchard falling and the cutting of the cherry trees, which is kind of cutting down the strings of the past where they grew up for generations and generations. And here, again, one important point is Renevsky's reminder to Jeff that their mother used to walk around the very room in which they now stand. So you will see towards the end of the play where both Jeff and his sister, Lobov Renevsky, they are very materialistic, they are very emotional towards the material, towards the room and bookcases in Act 4, and how they kisses, and then how it brings back the past memory of their parents, their mother. And Renevsky, she affirms the house connection with the past and ultimately what the house means to the Renevskys. And when she and Jeff cry in each other's arms, they cry for the past that they are about to lose because they have sold the cherry orchard, which is owned by Lupakin now. And this very action of Lupakin purchasing the cherry orchard shows the rising of the lower class people during the time in Russia. And now we'll just briefly go through some pointers in the conclusion. So it is a play about what happens when the present becomes unmoved from the past. It can also be the start of a new and better age, as it is for Lupakin and Trofimov. It can simply be the start of great uncertainty. And here, towards the end of the play ends with fears bringing back all his past memories, and he was forgotten by the people, and also in the literal sense and both in metaphorical sense, how the play ends and Fears is left behind, forgotten by the rest of the family, and leaving him alone at the cherry orchard. And Fears' perspective and memories of the past here will be forgotten too, as he dies towards the end of the play. So Chekhov very brilliantly, he brings in the concept of class struggle and also the decline of the aristocrats, and how the lower class, the serfdoms, how the working class people rise from the working class to the middle class and to the group of people who own a cherry orchard. So even though he used both comic and tragedy, it gives a very important perspective to the readers, yet very interesting through the usage of his theatrical strategies that he used from the beginning of Act 1 till Act 4. So this ending of the cherry orchard, the play is here seen as a kind of distraction because of the severing of the future from the past, and also how this play, how this very act underlined and emphasized by the sound of the breaking string cables. So I have two questions for you to ponder as you go through the play. Number one is, analyze what does the cherry orchard symbolize in the play. And the second question is, the cherry orchard poses the question of whether the characters are better off moving on, or if this is truly their tragic end. Thank you.